Hey everyone, this is Nido King. We're back with more King's Quest VII bonus features, and this time I decided to do something a little different. During the really long gaps, instead of rambling aimlessly like I have been doing, I'm going to be reading from King's Quest See No Weevil by Kenyon Moore, the third novel in the King's Quest series. So once Rosella's floated carefully to the ground, I told you she could jump out the window. There is one other headstone in the cemetery that Franco-Matic completely missed, and I didn't even notice until I went back and watched the Let's Play again more carefully, because it kind of stood out. I thought he would have caught it. So here we go. The last headstone.
Count Cranky, a nasty old goat, slipped and got himself drowned in the moat. His family cheered, his squire disappeared, and even his dog seemed to gloat.
So yeah, we're really scraping the bottom of the humor barrel here. So I figured I'd finish up Chapter 4 by answering a question I raised in the last episode.
Ow!
What happens if we wait around down here and don't know what the combination of the lock is, or don't try to open it? So here we go. Chapter 1. Rosella sneezed. Not just a little dainty sneeze, the sort of princess was supposed to make, but a wretchedly huge, snot-slinging nose honker. "Oh, Poppet," lamented her maid, Annabelle. "Oh, my poor dear." Rosella, Princess of Daventry, moaned a little, and Annabelle bathed her forehead with a damp cloth. "No, Annabelle," she protested as weakly as she dared. She had to be careful not to overdo it. Not now. Annabelle might be easy to fool, but Rosella's mother, Valenice, was not. Too little illness, and Valenice might hustle her daughter out of the room. Too much, and the queen might not leave Rosella's bedside. Rosella wanted to look just sick enough for the occasion. "You must rest," insisted Annabelle. "No, I have to get up," said Rosella. She tugged half-heartedly at the bed covers.
That guy is bad news. Next time I'm not waiting to find out just how bad.
See, now I bet she looks sick enough to get out of this wedding of Duke Faust and Duchess Aspen. But moving on to Chapter 5 at last. Chapter 5 of the game, not Chapter 5 of the book. So let's see what it is that Ersatz, the owner of the faux shop, has to say if I revisit him in Chapter 5. And this is, of course, after getting the moon, but before trading up for the rubber chicken.
Hello, Ersatz.
Hello, madam. I am terribly sorry about your conviction. Justice is a strange thing in Falderall.
Oh, I'll be all right. I'll find a way to return the moon to the sky. Somehow.
Valenice, if they come for you in the morning, I will hide you in my shop.
Thank you.
And that's all he's got to say. But I can show him the comb. No, don't do that. Please. Please don't do that. Alright. Anyway, for some reason I couldn't show him the comb back in Chapter 3, but in Chapter 5 I can. And he'll tell us about Rosella, whether he's seen her or not.
Pardon me, sir. This is my daughter's comb. Her name is Rosella, and she has lovely blue eyes and long golden hair. Have you seen or heard of her?
No, madam. I regret to say I have not.
Well, thank you anyway.
Not that he has anything interesting to say, but he will at least say it.
Would you be
So I'll just go ahead and trade for the chicken in a flash, and see if there's anybody else in Falderall with anything interesting to say. Not the Mockingbird, sadly. It gets no new lines at this point.
It's locked.
And there's no way to get back into the town hall, so let's go and see what Fernando the China Bull has to say.
Hello, Fernando. Why aren't you at the Archduke's party?
Oh, I was there for a while, but there's such tiresome little events. I'd rather spend time with Treasure. She's much more charming than the Archduke, and she doesn't drool.
Tell me, Fernando, don't you ever get tired of living in a town full of completely silly people?
They're not so bad, I suppose. They don't appreciate the fine objects in my store, but then again, I never sell anything to them.
Fernando, I never see anyone in your store. It looks like you're right about people of Falderal never buying your wares. Tell me, how do you stay in business?
They'd like to buy things, but I won't sell anything to them. They might break it. I get a lot of business from Etheria, though.
Why don't you just move your shop to Etheria, then?
Pixie dust and ambrosia make me sneeze.
As much as I enjoy Fernando's company, I'd better be on my way.
And for some reason in this chapter, he won't tell us about Rosella. Again, whether he's seen her or not. So, of course, before I can show you anything in Chapter 5 outside of Falderal, I'm going to have to put the moon back in the sky. And the important thing to remember is, you just watched me get the chicken. I haven't removed the feather from its tail quite yet. And interestingly enough, if you scroll the screen over to the right before doing that, it just stays there until the chicken has run all the way off the boundary of wherever it ended up. So that scene can take a lot longer than it did. This one is fixed length, sadly. And you may notice something up in the tree. There's our feather. There's one other thing that I want to check out on my way out of town. Let's see what the gate guard has to say. Nothing. He's not even there. Apparently he retreated into the town hall with everyone else. So let's go somewhere where there is someone interesting to talk to. Well, I guess he's kinda sleeping through the whole scene, but I started this as a new game in Chapter 5, so I haven't talked to Addis about the rock spirit yet. He hasn't told me that I need to wake him up and ask him how to revive himself and Ceres. So let's see what happens if I just go waking him up. And notice how fast she does the feather thing if I've sped up the animation. That was quite a sneeze. I'm gonna go do that again. And of course, I haven't even walked through this screen yet, so the first time that I do, Addis wakes up.
I advise you
even
to
though
turn back.
In an actual playthrough with Chapter 3, there's no way I'd get to where I am without having talked to him already. But I still didn't talk to him a second time to find out about the rock spirit, so we'll probably get a result that's very similar to the one we just had. The question you've got to ask yourself is, would I be going this far out of my way to show it if it were exactly the same? Actually, don't answer that. The answer's probably yes. However, I'm sure there's something more interesting this time. Yeah, I'm just kind of pointlessly building it up because it's not quite long enough to go back to the book. Here he is again, and this time I'll leave the animation at regular speed just so you can see how slowly she uses the feather this time.
You again. What do you want?
Well, I'm not exactly sure.
I warned you, human. Now go!
And he blows you all the way out to the desert. I suspect that dialogue is a little bit different if you do it in Chapter 3, but I'm not going to go all the way back and find out. That was just something I happened to stumble on when I was doing the Chapter 5 bonuses. And there's a couple of things that I want to show you guys out in the desert here before actually moving on. Well, for one thing, I've got to get the jackalope fur. And very carefully step around the jackalope's hole so that he doesn't come out and razz me. There's one thing I've got in my inventory I want to trade with a rat.
Would you like to trade with me? You won't believe what you will see. What is that? A magic potion? Will you take some dry skin lotion?
Well, I do miss my moisturizer, but I don't think so.
And what about after mixing
What
with
is
the fur?
that? A magic potion? Will you take some...
Well,
Exactly the same thing. So, having nothing else of interest to do, can't use the potion unless I'm actually on the right screen, so let's go there and get on with the game. And after I spent all that time walking carefully around... Anyway. Chapter 11. Just after lunch, Rosella wandered on the castle wall above the moat and looked west toward the Harvest Festival site. A dark gray smudge stained the horizon on the far side of the Merrily River. Rosella frowned. Farquhar had revisited the site earlier and had reported upon his return that there were now millions of weevils in the field. They had begun to eat the crops in the surrounding acreage. It was just her luck. Her parents were gone, she had the responsibility of the Harvest Festival all to herself, and poof! Bugs everywhere. Dogs in Daventry Town barked. Several cats screamed, and Rosella heard the excited sounds of people milling about. She jogged over to the town side of the wall to see what was going on.
oh,
Suddenly, the animals and
I
people
feel
were silent.
so strange.
Alright. Getting back to the game for a bit, if you remember, I haven't yet turned Addis back into a human, so he's going to be unable to help me with the plant creature on the far side of the werewoods here. Then and I love those little pink heart underpants.
Don't think I've ever run so fast in my life.
Well, that's what being a main character will do to you. Oh, run away! Doesn't work.
I'm never going to get past that thing if I don't get some help.
That's quite true. So, let's go get some help and jump to the far side of the woods here. Be back in a sec. Alright, so here in the swamp, the first thing that I want to show you is a clue to tell you that you can get a crystal from inside Melicia's house.
What a lovely crystal lamp in the midst of such a horrid room.
And now something that I needed a separate take to get. Let's see what happens if we annoy the gargoyle. Do I need to grab the book and start reading again?
Good boy.
She's not very hospitable, is she?
Yeah, she's got her own death animations for almost everything that can kill Rosella. So of course we gotta check them all out, starting with the obvious.
Oh, that was such fun.
She's not very hospitable, is she?
And moving on, let's see what the entire conversation with the Roger Jackson plant sounds like.
Hello!
This is the bit we've already heard.
Hello.
Well, hello.
What's a nice lady like you doing in a swamp like this?
I'm looking for my daughter. She's missing. What sort of creature are you?
We're just a harmless little plant, honey bunch.
Yep.
Harmless.
Tell me, good plant, who lives in the house over yonder?
Why, that would be the Lady Melicia. I'd stay away from her if I were you, Lamb Chop. Yeah, she never shares.
There are no plants like you in Daventry, that's for sure.
We're a special plant, sweetmeat.
Do lots of people live in Daventry?
Lots of juicy people.
You know, I'm beginning to question your motives.
You're just too far away, Sugar Pie. Come closer and we'll talk all cozy-like.
Yeah!
Closer.
This belongs to my daughter, a pretty young girl with blonde hair and blue eyes. Have you seen her?
Maybe yes, maybe no. Why don't you bring that pretty thing a little closer so I can smell it?
Well, that sounds perfectly safe and a good idea.
I knew I shouldn't have trusted that fellow.
And yet you did. Is it just me, or does that third head sound a lot like Otto the bus driver?
Hey, that wasn't very nice.
Well, that's it. I'm going up there and teaching those kids a lesson.
Oh dear, I should be more careful around big spiders.
And things that look like they might house big spiders. So one other interesting thing about Chapter 5, because Valanice is treading the ground that Rosella's already covered, they actually re-recorded the lines for all the headstones in Valanice's voice.
A mystic named Musafar White had a bed made of nails sharp and bright. He was taking a nap when into his lap jumped an elephant. Eugh, what a sight!
Now you see how much a difference reading it with a little bit of emotion can do? Anyway, I'm not going to stop and read them all.
I have no idea why I did that.
Well, it's simple. Because I told you to.
Here's the body of Benjamin Crabby, who in life was incredibly grabby. Don't stand on his grave, for his corpse can't behave. Old Benji might pop up and nab ye.
And I think this animation's a lot better than the one they used for Rosella.
Oh dear. I think I should have paid attention to that epitaph.
See, it's little things like that that make me feel like this was originally meant to be just Valanice, and the Rosella stuff was kind of tacked on later, and they didn't have a lot of time or resources to devote to it.
My lady.
Why?
But that's just an impression.
Seek help.
And of course, I'm gonna skip through the cat's dialogue. It's kind of fun to watch Valanice get pissed off and excited and so on when you can't even hear what they're saying. This has probably the best game over message in the game.
Yes! Oh, I can't believe I got attacked by a pile of cranky sticks.
I just love that. Let's see if we can make some noise here and wake the dead. Apparently not. Maybe it'll only work if the boogeyman's home. And now he is. Let's try it again. They could have done so many interesting things with the horn. Anyway, maybe if we hang out here long enough. Yeah, there he is. And of course, I have all the time in the world to run away, but why would I do that? Maybe from boredom, I don't know. Chapter. Here we go.
Now there's an unpleasant fellow. I'm staying out of his way from now on.
Quite. But there is one more thing that can kill Valanies. And of course, this is one that didn't apply to Rosella, because Count Sepish would come flying through the sky and just disappear. Whereas in Chapter 5, he'll fly through the sky, and then he'll come galloping along the very path where Valanice is standing. I wonder what would happen if she's standing in it at the time.
Now I know how it feels to be a rabbit in the carriage lights. I should have done something decisive.
You ever notice how they're always saying they need to do something decisive or drastic? Like, if I had done something, that probably wouldn't have helped. But if I did something drastic, that would have made all the difference. Drastic. But I'm going to have to go and talk to the doctor, move this plot along a little bit, so let's skip ahead. Here I am in the kid's treehouse. All the usual stuff to do. First off, I gotta get the bone, because I actually need that. And I'm convinced this has to be a Day of the Tentacle reference.
Hey, you! Don't touch my dough.
Doesn't that hair look a lot like spaghetti? Well, maybe. Oh yeah, and the shrunken heads, too.
How horrible.
Same to you, lady!
Alright, and of course from here we can always go out onto the porch. And from here we can do nothing. Still wonder if maybe they left something out.
Gotcha!
I'm just not good at this sneaking around business. I suppose I should have taken less time in there.
And speaking of time, of course we have to see what happens if we just wait around. Because she gets into the perfect I'm going to jump out the window pose. And then she doesn't jump out the window. And as you can see, I tried this so many times. I couldn't get her to jump out the window. I'm pretty sure she will do it, but again, I got really lazy and decided not to go back and keep trying. And I'm just thinking maybe I ought to leave and forget about this whole getting captured business. Will you jump out the window now? Maybe you gotta do it right before the kid appears, right? Obviously not.
Those dreadful little urchins! I'd best stay out of their way until they learn some manners.
Right, like they're gonna learn manners. Now will you jump out the window? No. Alright, so I'll have to leave the normal way and skip ahead a little bit again. So, I've given the dog's medal to Lady Tsepish. Let's see what he's got to say now.
What was your mistress like, noble hound?
She was the loveliest woman in Eldritch, and she loved my master, the Count beyond all things. Now her shade is all bitterness and rage. You would do well to avoid her.
Tell me, noble hound, why did Militia slay your master?
It was so long ago. Militia was leading an uprising against Ethelia and the rightful crown. My brave master led the charge against her. Militia was defeated and banished from Ethelia, but not before she killed Count Sepish. Now she is back, and I fear the worst for all of Eldritch.
And that's everything that she'll say. She won't pick up the bone again, so let's move on. I don't know why, but every time I tried to speed her up on that screen, she'd just slow back down again. Like, obviously in no hurry to get back to the graveyard. So now it's time to play Fun with Lit Fireworks. Yep, that's a lit firecracker, alright. Got a really long fuse. Anyway, nope, can't use it on myself, can't throw it up into the pumpkin. So let's just go walk around a bit. Now remember people in the thread talking about if you're playing an unpatched version of the game on a modern system, the fuse burns down so fast that you can't actually get anywhere and it just blows up on you immediately. So I was kind of wondering, what exactly did the patch do about that? Obviously, I've got plenty of time to go where I need to go and do what I need to do. And I can just wander around. At this stage I started to get suspicious. I mean, the fuse isn't actually burning down from what I can see. Is the thing actually going to blow up at all? Maybe, maybe not. Oh, there it goes.
It would seem that keeping a lit firecracker in one's pocket isn't the best course of action.
Well, of course not, but it brings me right back to where I was, completely unharmed. So, one other interesting thing to do, the dog is sleeping. Isn't that cute? Want a firecracker? No? Okay. Just go pet the sleeping doggy.
I'll do my very best to reunite you with your master.
Alright, I don't know what that was all about, but now time to go take care of... Like I was saying, now time to go take care of that firecracker thing and catch up with you guys back in Etheria. Now there's something you may have noticed while Frank-O-Matic was walking around in the mountainous path on the next screen. There's not really a whole lot to interact with in this screen. I mean, you can see colorful plants absolutely everywhere. Not anything much that you can do. I mean, you can sniff the flowers in the previous screen and she'll just go,
What in heaven's name was that? I've never seen a creature so swift.
Yeah, it wasn't really a creature, that was the wind. And of course, all you have to do is not be standing on that particular part of the path, and you're perfectly out of the way of the wind. So, I'm just going to do that for a while and let you see it blow past without hurting me, just because I can. Yeah, the wind is pretty loud. There's just no point to blowing the horn anymore. So, while I've got a bit of free time here, Chapter 17. Rosella looked at the image in the mirror and winced. Did she really look like this? Worse yet, had she let everyone in the castle see her like this? The old red dress was splattered with smashed bugs, streaked with dirt, and blackened with smoke. There were twin holes in the knees from long hours of kneeling in the dirt, and a long tear down one side that she'd not even noticed. Her boots were caked with mud and bug guts. The black scarf was gone. Rosella could vaguely remember giving it to someone, but could not recall who or why. It wasn't just her clothing that was dirty. Grime caked her face, broken only where it had been streaked by sweat and tears. Her hair had come loose and hung around her face in muddy, sweat-soaked curls. What the heck was that?
Well, I never! Some people are so rude.
Yeah, and both of those wind spirits will appear in the next screen up. The horse will knock you back down to here, and the black guy will, of course, just eat you again. So, annoying, but easily avoided. So let's see what happens if we jump in the river. That's some kind of weird glitch I can't explain. And if I click on it again, she walks to the south bank and then teleports back up there again.
What could I have been thinking? I'm not a fish.
Of course, because only a fish can swim. Or something like that. I just love hearing him play the piano.
Attis, I have sought help from Etheria, but the Lady Mab has been frozen by some horrible curse.
Frozen, you say? It is possible that my Lady Ceres could tell you how to thaw Mab, if only she could speak. She was the Lady of Spring.
And that's all he'll say on the subject. But as you can see, you don't need to go back and talk to the Fates to get the hint about Ceres if you just come here and talk to him. Or free Ceres first, and then talk to her about Lady Mab being frozen in ice. But I thought it might be interesting to see what happens if we try to get through the werewoods without the jackalope salve.
Oh, my.
The guy doesn't sound any the worse for wear for having been stripped earlier.
Now, just a moment, sir. Could I interest you in What an unfriendly creature. I'll never be able to get past him unless I do something drastic.
Indeed. Like, hit yes.
Oh, my.
I don't know how I managed this one, but I got through the werewoods. So anyway, moving on again. Now, after you've been to Etheria, a lot of things change back on the surface world. Some of them are particularly interesting. But I do have a lot of stuff to trade with the rat, so let's get on with that.
The shop is closed. You'd better go. The volcano is about to blow.
Believe me, I'm as disappointed as you are. Let's find someone with something actually interesting to say. And sadly, there's only one such person left in Falderall.
It's locked.
Lady Valenice, this world is no longer safe for you. Go back to your own world if you can, for we are all doomed.
And that was about it.
Mama! Mama! I want my mama!
No, I want to...
It's locked.
I want to read the notice. Town hall closed for urgent volcano meeting. Go away. Signed with a paw print. And if I go back to talk to Fernando, he just says the same stuff you've already heard. So, Roger Jackson plant, what do you got for us?
Aren't you meat-eating magnolias worried about the volcano? You don't look flame-resistant to me.
We don't worry about anything, Lamb Chop. We're nihilistic foliage.
You all gotta go fun time, lady.
Entropy rules.
I know you want to eat me for dinner. Why don't you just admit it?
What fun would that be?
Yeah.
Well, I certainly hope you have lava-proof leaves.
I like you, lady. You got a mean sense of humor under all that sugar and spice.
And that'll about do it for them. One more interesting conversation post-Etheria.
Kaboom, kaboom, total boom! Fire in the sky! We're all gonna die! Totally necrotic! Here's your fried man!
So let's see if we can hear them over those pots and pans.
Aren't you too worried at all?
Why should we worry, lady? We got no more lives to lose! Yeah! We're like totally dead!
This is serious, boys. Don't you care about anything?
Yeah! We care about having fun!
If you were my little boys, you'd have a few manners.
If we was your little boy, we'd be petrified with boredom by now!
Well, I'd say somebody finally got the better of Alanis. So, moving on to the last thing that we have to do in the chapter. I found something that I thought was kind of interesting, and figured that would be a good way to end the video. So, back at the Dreamweaver again.
My sister is dearer to me than life itself. Go!
See, I always noticed that while he's weaving on his loom, those nightmares are popping out the top of it. And I was pretty sure I remembered, way back when I used to play this game, when it first came out, that there was some way you could get him to post another guard nightmare at his cave, use the one you've already got on that one, and then have an empty dream catcher, which you could use to catch the nightmare in the actual dream world. So, I spent a little while trying to get that to happen. As you can see, it doesn't. So I just kind of gave up on it. And then I decided to try something a little interesting. Notice that I've already got the dream tapestry.
Your aunts, the Fates, gave me this
You captured my nightmare in that
dream.
My precious sister is missing.
And there he is weaving us a second dream tapestry.
When you ride...
Which just kind of disappears, and we don't take it. So, given that, let's go ahead and pop into the dream world. Oh no, it's a nightmare. Whatever shall I do?
No! No! I know the Dreamweaver told me something important about these horrible creatures. Now, what did he say?
I don't know, I've forgotten. Better get out of here.
No!
You can't even do that.
I know that...
Alright, so we'll have to get past it the correct way. And there doesn't seem to be anything to interact with here, so we'll just have to proceed to the end of the dream. Noting, of course, that I don't have the crystal infused with sunlight. That scene always feels a lot longer than it really needs to be. I have no idea what she thinks she's doing, but we can't leave the dream at this point. So, what do? Well, obviously I need to step outside. And once I'm out here, I can successfully use the dream carpet to return to the real world. Or at least to Etheria, which is as close to the real world as we ever get. So, join me next time for the final video where I show you all the stuff you didn't see from Chapter 6. Stay tuned. Stick around.